Hersam Acorn newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Welcome to HAN Radio's Behind the News, the show where three veteran Connecticut news editors go behind the stories with the columnists, photographers, reporters, and editors who covered them. They will discuss not only Hersam Acorn stories, but take a look at the media landscape in Fairfield and Westchester counties. They will discuss it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. With John Kovach and Josh Fisher, here's your host, Kate Czaplinski.
It's Friday, June 26th, and this is your Behind the News, off to a rather late start today, but we're having some technical issues. And if you're listening to us on HANradio.com, I suggest you put on the live stream at HANradio.com/livestream, because today we're joined by our favorite cartoonist, Doug Smith, and we're going to show a lot of those cartoons when we get going. Josh, what else do we have coming up?
We're going to take a look at the top stories this week. It was a very heavy traffic week on the web, particularly those storms that hit north of us here in Shelton. We're also going to talk about the Supreme Court's ruling today on about gay marriage. And if we have a chance, since we're starting so late, we're going to try and get Brad Durrell on here. Today's actually his last day, but I think he plans to come to work tomorrow. So he doesn't really know he doesn't know how to retire. But first, let's welcome on Doug Smith and AJ, who's directing. If you could just get the output set up on that screen so we can also enjoy these cartoons when you get a chance, that'd be great. There it is. So, Doug, welcome back.
Thank you.
We had Doug on the first time we went video with this show, Kate.
Yes.
If you remember. And so we thought it'd be a good idea to have him come back on and show off some more of those rather funny
I thought this
cartoons.
was Doug Smith's Teen Talk. So
Our phones aren't working. I'm so
Kids,
sorry.
Kids, if you have any questions, you'll have to save those questions for Doug about life and the birds and the bees for next week and how to say no. I was actually just scrolling through Doug's Twitter, which is D Smith Cartoon E1. So it's a DSMITHCARTOONI.
yeah, it's the one they gave me. So,
and we don't have it. I didn't get this in the file, but there's a really neat Confederate flag cartoon
Commentary,
about
yeah.
ripping it apart.
Yeah.
right, everyone just all joining together and grabbing each bar and like stretching it like a big X.
Now, normally you get in, you focus mainly on local and statewide things, but do you think you might do a gay marriage cartoon after this morning's?
Possibly.
Ruling?
I mean, it depends if one of the editors wants to do a commentary on it or something.
Right. But so how often though is it the editor's opinions of the so you write cartoons for our 13 papers and for a lot of papers that we used to have also. You've done over 1,000 cartoons at least since Hersam acquired these papers here in our Shelton office, right?
Yes.
And how many are you up to now?
I think about 1,188.
Wow.
So how many is that a week on average, Doug?
Oh, 11.
Okay, wow.
Maybe 9 to 11 cartoons a week.
Wow. Maybe, AJ, if you get a chance and you're ready, we could just show some of them for those of us watching today's show. And, I was kind of going through these. It's tough to just pick out a few to show off because they vary all sorts of things from, like this Bobcat one about bobcats being spotted in town, although it looks like we're having a little delay in getting the images up. Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. We'll vamp for a little bit.
It's Mail It In Friday anyway.
Hashtag Mail It. Today wasn't actually Mail It In Friday. It was, not every Friday can be Mail It In Friday, but today should have been Mail It In Friday.
It's like a check. It's on the way.
It's on the way. We had a nice little going-away party for Brad Durrell last night. Everyone's moving a little slower here in this office than normal, those who did show up today on Friday. Some weird glances across the newsroom at people, I think,
That's super behind the news. Behind the newsroom.
So, but so Doug, I mean, now sometimes you do, you do ones about 8-30G, the state's affordable housing laws, which isn't usually that funny, but you get a point across in it, right? And then others, there's just humor in your kind of weird, demented mind.
Yes.
I say that as a compliment.
Thank you.
And he takes it as such.
That's good.
Well, I mean, I always treat the 830G, I treat both sides like there was an old cartoon, whereas, you say the developer is saying, like, good people have a right to good housing, and the people who are against it are saying you'll ruin the watershed, the septic can't handle it. When in reality, I say that, they're saying we don't want low-income housing in our town, and the other side says, I just want to make a quick buck.
Right.
So it's
and you
sort
get
of a
some
two-faced thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to go through all the cartoons, but you get some backlash sometimes.
Oh, yes.
That's not uncommon. In fact, my favorite was a phone call you got a couple weeks ago, actually, from who we believe to be a Trumbull person. And
I
what did
think
that
so.
phone call entail?
Oh, it was about the Trumbull-Monroe Health District, which
Yes.
disbanded and became just the Monroe Health District. So
Right.
the cartoon was just a little form labeled Monroe Health District being booted out the door
Out
and
the
just
door
saying we're
at
on our
Trumbull
own.
Town Hall, yeah.
Yeah, we're on our own now. And I received a phone call the following week of a lady who just asked, are you Doug Smith? Yes, I am. Can I help
There
you?
it is.
There it is.
There it is.
And she was like, you did that cartoon? I'm like, yes. And she just said, you're an idiot, and slammed the phone down.
Nice.
Before I could say, I know
Nice.
that, but what's your point? Yeah.
Maybe AJ, we could just kind of scroll through some of these,
And we'll take a look at them,
And we'll
yeah.
take a look at them and ask Doug about them. It's always enjoyable. So this one is from ran in the New Canaan Advertiser, and it's about the name of the teen center in New Canaan is called the Outback, because it's Outback of Town Hall.
Yeah, a very distinctive building. Looks
Yeah.
like an old IHOP.
It
does.
It does.
It
It does. It has that
does.
weird
roof,
that roof
yeah.
pattern. You did a good job capturing that. So, and they did actually just close the Outback in New Canaan.
So we were just thinking, what can we do with the building? I know it would make a good ski chalet.
It really
It
would.
really would.
So it's on a truck and it's getting carted off.
Yes.
Okay.
Trumbull Monroe Toastmasters. May I help you? And it happens to be a giant. Now, this is just a silly one, right?
Yeah, and they actually sent me a nice email saying, we love the cartoon. This has done so much for us. Thank
Really?
you. And so they asked, can we use it on our website? I'm like, absolutely. And I just doctored it with a little, courtesy of Hersam Acorn newspapers
Right.
and sent it to them. And
That's
they were
perfect.
just makes my day, when they send a nice letter like that.
And it is. It's nothing serious. It's just like a little joke, funny humor toaster asking to join the, Trumbull Monroe Toastmasters. And then it has like a nice, nice part in the community, which we love.
I like this one.
Bobcats spotted around town.
Just a bunch of
Up to no
bobcats
good.
hanging out. I
Going
hope
to
that
work.
One's hanging out in the corner. I hope that's
Drinking
a
on the
non-alcoholic
street
beverage
corner.
because it's not in a brown
One
paper
day.
bag. But
the shut-in up there peeking out of the window.
Driving a convertible.
and this was one that ran in a few different towns of ours too.
'Cause we've
because
had a
sometimes
lot of
they can work
bobcats.
for that.
Right.
And this is another one that could run it in a few towns. You got
The Duck Dynasty guys there.
Which we know by the distinctive beards and the fashions.
Yes, and it says on a tree is tacked to a tree says budget season, and the Duck Dynasty guys
like
are saying
referencing the old Bugs Bunny, Daffy
Yes.
Duck hunting season cartoons.
looks like duck season is over.
And by the way, if you're listening to us, you should turn on the live stream at hanradio.com/livestream so you could see these cartoons, because maybe it doesn't have as much fun when we're just talking about
or
them.
find
and
it
you can't see
later
it.
if you're traveling and listening to us. You can
Yes.
find it later on our YouTube channel. Just search Hersam Acorn.
And this along the lines of the Bobcats, bears are being spotted all over Fairfield County too. Plus, there's an ongoing thing in Darien. A lot of people still leave their cars and homes open.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's a nice town and all, but you just can't.
Right.
Right.
And
Do that.
thousands of
It's-
dollars worth of items stolen.
Yeah.
We hear we see the reports all the
So
time.
it's sort of a public service message, like, please lock your homes when you go out.
Joking that, the bears
Read it for us, Kate. For those
Okay,
listening.
well, according to the police, a lot of these clowns leave their cars and houses unlocked. I'm betting their cupboards and refrigerators are wide open, says the group of bears. So that is a good one. And
Gonna
it
go
is a
steal
little
their
public
parts, see how they
service.
like it.
Yeah, thanks, Don. Yeah. A lot of Goldilockses in Darien. I like this. This is
I love
says,
this.
be sure your dog license is up to date, and it's a dog driving out of the house.
Zooming out of the house in the car while the owner's like, where are you going? It's pretty great. Once again, a public service announcement with some humor.
Yes.
The NCON Canine Unit now has a specially trained dog to help crack down on illegal fishing. And this dog has some flippers on and what's
Scuba
that?
mask.
Scuba mask.
And,
little
scuba breathing. Scuba
Yep.
gear. Right?
snorkel.
Snorkel.
That's the word I was trying to think. Scuba mask. Yeah, really high tech. I don't think you could go very deep with that. Scuba mask,
Which, while the
Josh.
cartoon's kind of silly, it just like makes people think like they have a what, and then they go and read the story because it's really remarkable that they've trained these dogs to sniff out
that's
illegal
amazing.
types of fish.
That's amazing to me. I know there was an arrest that came of that. We had a great photo of the dog sitting by the illegally caught fish, And so I think it's so cool, and I love that you made this cartoon.
If only we could teach them to actually use a snorkel, right?
If only.
If only. Oh, this is like I picked this one out specifically for John Kovac, who was behind the scenes today.
Oh, he's a fellow New Jerseyite who knows Long Beach Island, and if anyone who's been down to the southern tip of it knows about the greenheads.
And and of course, though, I'm sure these what are these greenheads?
The greenhead flies.
They're obviously reading a copy of maybe the Fairfield Sun or something else about
About Gustav Whitehead.
about Gustav Whitehead claiming to be the first to fly before the Wright brothers. And the greenheads are a little upset because they've been flying a lot longer.
Right.
And this one I like because I remember this was ran in the New Canaan Advertiser when I was
like
editor,
this.
and it was a big debate over whether people can meet electronically or they have to physically be in
Telemarket
person.
is into the meetings.
Yes,
not
they want
have
to
be-
telecom in or, IM or what. I mean, it was all sorts of this debate. So it says, if the town starts letting officials attend meetings electronically, what's next? And there's a well-dressed
official.
man sitting in a chair. He says, I shall send my astral form to attend. And you can see his soul or his astral form at leaving. I like to. It's nice because you note that it's night. We got the moon in the window, the dark sky, and
He's got the little swoop
Yeah,
of hair
you
on his astral
Yes.
form.
On his astral form, right. Because what's an astral form if the hair is not accurate on it,
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I really like this one, Kate.
The southern pine beetle, an insect that can overwhelm and kill healthy trees, has been detected in Connecticut for the first time. And then we see a little guy drinking a mint julep, the little bug, and it says, I hear y'all got some tasty trees up here. Is that how he said
That's a
it?
good accent. That's a good job.
Influenced by, as I had just come back from South Carolina, and
That mint julep looks kind of good. So
this one's actually been done for several different towns. It just happens to be for Milford this week, but a lot of people are scared of their smaller roads becoming like the Post Road or Route 7 or whatnot.
Right.
So the Post Road is talking to Wheeler's Farm Road in Milford, saying someday
you can be just like me.
Someday.
So this is, and that is interesting because you can kind of tweak these things just a little bit to make
just-
sure that that they fit in for our various towns. And we have several towns that the Post Road runs through, as you know, it runs all along the coast of Connecticut. So it's Route 1, and so it's kind of funny. AJ, what's next here?
Oh, a lot of people liked this one.
Oh, I love this. Oh, this is especially accurate these days. So the headline on this is Hazardous Waste Days, which we all always announce in our papers when those are. And it's a guy with a wheelbarrow saying, "Where do you want him?" And it's a guy sitting in the wheelbarrow, and it says anonymous internet commenters. Dump him in the super toxic area out back. It says this is a pretty great one and something I think we can all appreciate these days, especially on some of our stories.
Oh, definitely. And this is one of my favorites, I think.
Oh, the old one here.
I feel like I might have helped commission this one.
Yeah, I'm sure you
somehow.
did.
And this is probably from 2012 2012, last time Linda McMahon
the
ran
first,
for office.
when she spent all the money on her campaign and didn't win.
$10 million on her. This was just at the start of her campaign because she ended up spending $100 million over two campaigns. But it looks like McDonald's. It says McMahon's instead. It just says over $10 million spent on campaign.
And it has a wrestling ring at the top, which is the best part.
Great little touch.
Great touch.
I
love that.
actually sent it, or it wasn't this one. It was another one of McMahon in a ring, and he was lying on his back, and all the wrestlers are gathered around saying, "Who slammed you?" And he says, "The newspapers."
Ooh.
Now, I sent to the WWE and asked their folks down there, like, "Hey, any interest in, like, would you get a kick out of this?" And it's like, "Well, let us study it." I never heard back from them. So.
They're still studying it. They've commissioned a study.
They were so kind of like semi-litigious and would take. It was for such a silly business that they're in. The idea of men in spandex fake fighting with each other.
But it's like,
Well,
have some fun with
Yeah,
yourself.
have some fun. Be able to poke
That was
fun.
my thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Have some fun with yourself. I mean, I've never been a wrestling fan.
Instead, that
We
night,
know.
when I went out to my car, and I think it was the Big Show and Triple H, not threw me through the wall.
And then this was from
Darien,
right?
the Republican town
Representative
meeting.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no one was showing up for it.
It is.
So they wanted
Just
to get
one
more
lonely
voter
guy.
turnout.
Seems to be a lot of absences lately. All in favor. There's one guy saying aye. And speaking, so I think these are kind of the sweet ones. So sometimes it's something a little. If a part of a community leaves, and we see that happen all the time. And Chuck's Steakhouse, long time. There's a few of them around, but they closed their Darien.
Yep.
One, which everyone kind of loved, although everyone talked about loving Chuck's Steakhouse, and I know the times when I went there, it was very easy to get a seat.
Yeah.
The Danbury one's always packed. The one in Darien,
And the orange one closed as well, I believe.
okay.
But
So this says, and a piece of me has gone, and you see a little piece of Darien walking away labeled as Chuck's Steakhouse. Shouldn't have put these ones about food in here today. And this one just ran a week ago. This is the Father's Day one, and it's Luke and Darth Vader, and you see C-3PO there, or I'm sorry, R2-D2 in the background. As a trash can.
As a trash can. How sad.
it's almost like Darth's going to toss the tie later on or something.
Yep.
And so Luke gives Darth a tie for Father's Day.
You really think about these, Doug. I love them.
Thank you.
Oh, M8 cars. You idiots. They were supposed to get M8 cars, not M80, and it's a giant M80 with the top lit. Love it.
You have some fun with the rail stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Too, right? And
Oh.
transportation in
Jim
Connecticut.
Cameron loves those ones
Yes.
whenever I...
This is one of my favorites, too. This is when in New Canaan there's a big talk about they wanted to do this push to give people incentives to solarize their homes and everything like that. And we have two werewolves talking under a full moon. Solarize New Canaan? I'd much rather they lunarize it.
Silly.
And it's something we all certainly experienced this past spring or late winter. Kate, the
Potholes.
yes.
An unpleasant side effect of all the snow, and the car is pretty deep in there.
It's not too much exaggeration.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. And some of our towns especially.
Yes.
Oh,
Holiday ones are always fun to do.
holiday ones are funny. This is the Thanksgiving one with a pilgrim and a turkey. And the turkey says, "Thanks for inviting me to dinner on Thursday. Is there anything I can bring?" And the sort of devious looking pilgrim, "Just yourself."
Sort of like the simple look on the turkey. But
Yeah, I
and
know.
Here's
He
the 830G you were talking about. Basically how they get around the zoning in houses.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
yes.
it.
Development.
Yes.
Jumping on over.
And I believe that's all that we found, right, AJ? It's all that we loaded up. There's a lot, and you can find. So if you go to most of our websites and you click under opinion, there's Cartoon Gallery is an option that pops down up there on the top, and you can find all of Doug's cartoons. And we're gonna put a little note on how to follow him on Twitter up on the HAN Radio, the Hersam Radio Twitter page, which is Hersam Radio. So we can check that out. But Doug, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me here again.
Today. What anything interesting coming up this week?
Haven't really thought about any yet. Just
All right.
just started to.
He's still
Work
recovering
on him.
from Brad's party.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have one about the Well, it's 4th of July weekend, so there's always something to work with. And I was thinking of, in Stratford, my hometown, we have the Stratford Cat Project. So I was thinking of maybe a couple of cats setting off a giant skyrocket, calling it the Stratford Cat Projectile.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So look for those. And Doug, we want to get you back on, the Hersam Acorn Network more and more, especially because it's amazing how many cartoons you do a week for all our different papers. I mean, that takes a lot of, you look through all those papers and, find stories that you can kind of make into cartoons. And we love it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Well, it's around 12:42 on Behind the News. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with a lot more after this.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332 and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Spring is finally in the air and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
It's lots of characters. Specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Kycote Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Kycote's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Kycote Rockefeller Estate, a National Trust for Historic Preservation landmark.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
1246 on Behind the News on this Friday, June 26th. Kate Czaplinski with Josh Fisher. John Kovach is here, but he's kind of off screen right now, hanging out. And we're joined by Brad Durrell, who we were celebrating last night because, Brad, it's your last official day, though you have threatened to come in tomorrow.
They haven't taken your key yet from you.
No. Hopefully that key card works late tonight.
What is that like now? I mean, how many years have you been in this business?
I guess I've been in the business about 27, 28 years. I worked for this company for the last 24. So it's been a long time. I did other stuff for about 10 years out of college. I did PR in New York and did it locally and sort of ran my own company and did a lot of campaigns in California and some other states, so political stuff.
So what is that like to kind of just walk away? I mean, you're working so hard. You update your website constantly, sheltonherald.com. So what's that going to be like now to not do that?
I don't know. I guess I'm about to find out the day after tomorrow, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to see what the future brings, but it'll be interesting. I'm planning on taking a little break, a few months, and then sort of figuring out where I go from there.
Wow. Have you had a favorite? I know you've covered a lot of our different towns, and you've seen a lot of changes in Connecticut, obviously, over the last quarter century. Have you had a favorite story or topic that you've covered?
Well, I don't know. I've just enjoyed covering all the towns. I mean, I guess my heart is probably in Bridgeport more than anywhere else. I mean, I grew up in Fairfield, but I spent a lot of my young adulthood in Bridgeport. Sort of my first place that I bought and stuff like that. So I really liked covering Bridgeport, which I did for about 15 years. And I've also covered Easton and Monroe and Hamden and now Shelton. And I've enjoyed every town. They're all a lot different. I mean, maybe the best thing I ever covered was maybe, the Joe Ganim trial.
Oh, yeah.
Which is sort
That
of
is
in the news
interesting.
again since he has decided he wants to be mayor again. So that was one of the more exciting things, because I had actually a very... bad relationship with Joe Ganim. He wouldn't talk to me for years, and I was sort of out front saying the guy was sort of a jerk, to be perfectly direct about it, and nobody else believed me at the time. A lot of the local media was really playing him up as a savior, and I sort of had a different view. I think the first few years he was mayor, he was a decent guy, but it got to his head rather quickly. And I mean, I'll say it right now. I mean, the worst kind of crook, in my opinion, is someone like him, and I can call him a crook because he was convicted, obviously, is because he already had money, and he didn't need money. And those kind of people, you really got to watch them, because it's sort of in them, in my opinion. And, I don't really care what he thinks or his family thinks, even though he has a very nice family. I like his father, et cetera, quite a bit, to be honest with you.
No, I like getting this behind-the-scenes opinion from you, Brad. This is really nice. And, I mean, that's part, now that you're not covering these towns, you can kind of speak more freely.
There you go. I haven't covered Bridgeport in a while, but I've loved all the different towns.
Yeah.
And, they're so diverse. I mean, Easton's obviously a very small town, and people think of it as sort of wealthy, but it's really much more diverse economically than people realize. A lot of people live on sort of half-acre lots in southern Easton, and it, there's a real arts community there and stuff like that. So, we all have stereotypes of towns and what we think. Bridgeport might be on the other end. People say, it's a big city, a lot of problems, wouldn't want to live there. But, and Bridgeport has a lot of challenges, but it's got some beautiful neighborhoods. It's got beautiful waterfront, has incredible potential. And, so it's just been nice to cover every town, including Shelton, which I've had the privilege of covering for the last 2.25 years or so.
Yeah. And go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you have a replacement, Aaron, a young,
Aaron
community
Berkowitz,
journalist. Aaron Berkowitz is coming in. What's your advice for him? And I mean, for any, of us who are still slogging along covering community stories.
Well, my advice, and I don't know if Aaron really needs my advice. He's young, but he's eager and ready, is just to get to know people, go to as much events as you can, and just form relationships, because that's where information comes from. And particularly with a weekly paper, I mean, the reality is many towns, there's really not a lot of media out there anymore, and so you're sort of the only one, or maybe one of two, or something like that. So even though the role of the media has changed, you're still an important conduit to people. I mean, people can't go out and go to meetings; they don't have the time, and they don't really have time to read the minutes or maybe watch the whole thing on video, though they can get clips or something. So they're still looking for someone to sum up what happened and tell them how it affects them and how it affects their lives. So I'm sure Aaron will do a great job at that. So
that's nice. So, moving on, before when we came in this morning, we heard that the Supreme Court was going to, they've had a busy week. Obviously, they ruled that the nationwide Obamacare was legal yesterday, and then this morning from the way I understand it, they've now made gay marriage, same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states. Huge thing. The pride flag right now is flying at the governor's mansion up in Hartford, and people all over seem, for the most part, are happy about this. But I'm sure we'll have some naysayers. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think it's a great thing. Some people may know I'm actually gay and I'm married to a man, so I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's time had come, and I think it was somewhat predictable. I mean, we were just talking about it. I've only really seen the headlines. I haven't had a chance to read it, and I'm a little surprised it was 5-4 and not 6-3 or maybe even 7-2. But I think it's progress. I think it's been amazing, the progress on this in the last 5 or 10 years in America. It's really happening a lot quicker, I think, than a lot of people thought. And hopefully, it's a Big Ten. We need to be diverse with everybody. And I think young kids have such different opinions on this as older people. A lot of older people. And it doesn't mean older people are bad people. They just grew up in a different era and a different time, and their views are based on different things. And sort of life moves on, and I think society's moving on and accepting things.
Right. It's and so it was also, I thought, kind of neat because Connecticut was one of the first states to legalize marriage. Massachusetts, of course, was the first, right? But Connecticut was that just followed quickly behind.
Yes, and I think under a Republican governor, I believe, too.
Right. Yes. Under Jody Rell.
Democratic legislature.
Yes. So I always thought it made me proud to be from Connecticut for those sorts of things, and I think certainly from a social policy, this state tends to lean forward. Not to steal MSNBC's. Because we'd actually like to get some ratings, but how have you as a gay man seen things change here in this state?
Oh, I think it's been amazing. I mean, I'm not really the kind who's out there marching in the streets. Right. I admire people who do that, but I also have respect for people on the other side. I try to respect people even if I disagree with their views, as long as they're not like way over the top or something. So I just think it's people. I don't think people really care anymore. I mean, I think, and part of it is just more and more people coming out and being public about it, which I think people deserve a lot of respect for, which, I'm probably in the middle on that. I'm not as much as some other people. But I think it's just been all of a sudden you realize, your coworker, your brother, your uncle, is gay or lesbian. It breaks down the stereotypes, and it's not some weird thing that people do. It's somebody you love who, hopefully has someone they can spend their life with. And I think everybody's in favor, really, of long-term relationships, and that's really important to society. I think whether you're gay or straight, and hey, everybody's different. And if you're single, that's fine, or you have a lot of different relationships, that's fine. But there's no doubt, I think society benefits from long-term relationships, and particularly children. So that stay together.
See, and I think this also shows why Brad is such a good journalist, because you always seem so understanding too of people of various thoughts and beliefs, and it's that not that there's two sides, there's multi sides to almost every opinion and thing out there, and you just do a really good job, I think, at seeing things from other people's perspective, which I think is one of the top things you need to be a good journalist.
Well, I try. I'm certainly not perfect, but
well, everyone's always convinced that a small community journalists have some kind of agenda we're trying to push, and it's really we don't have the time to push any agenda. And I think that and you're busy all the time, and it's nice just so people know, no, we really listen to what all the sides are saying. You've done a very great job of that. And like we said, we just don't have the time or energy to push any form of agenda.
Yeah, I mean, they always think. I mean, there's maybe some aspects of the media that have agendas, but certainly your average, weekly paper or website is, everybody's just doing the best they can. And I think most people in journalism take their job seriously, which is to try to be fair and try to report on everybody. There's no doubt, your viewpoints probably come into play a little bit, but there's sort of a creed in journalism. You try to be fair. You take that extra step to represent everybody and to be balanced. And sometimes people don't understand that who are on the other side. I mean, they get mad at you. They go, that story. Why are you quoting the other side? Why are you saying what they think? But that's our job.
That's
exactly.
Great. That's great. Well, Brad, it's been just a pleasure and really an honor to work with you. I got lucky enough to be up in this office for at least a few months and work with you.
Well, vice versa for everybody as well, obviously.
Yeah, so Aaron certainly has Aaron Berkowitz has big shoes to fill in Shelton. And everyone's really bummed. That we had a lot of fun last night celebrating you, but we're all going to miss you and miss reading your work. You're just one of the top journalists that I've worked with, and thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Very nice of you.
I just want to jump in here. My first full-time job with this company was as Brad's assistant there at the old Bridgeport
I don't even
News.
remember that.
we all tried to forget.
You were very memorable, Don.
I know,
we all
right?
tried to forget that.
Where was that, in Bridgeport? Or
That was the old Mace building in Trumbull, downstairs in the basement. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that's a good note to end on
I think
today.
so, too.
So we'll be back next week. We hope on time.
Yes.
But up next is Radio Arts and Leisure. It's audio only, so you got to go over to hanradio.com and tune in and listen to that. But for Kate Czaplinski Dunning, AJ Simonowski, and John Kovach, who's busily working back there in the background, and for our buddy here, Brad Durrell, we wish you good luck. Whatever. I hope you find a nice cabin in the woods to hide from everything and decompress for a little bit. We're going to change the locks on the door on Saturday morning so Brad can't work. And thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.